And the average dimensions, that is the dimensions of the uterus. Coming to the dimensions of the uterus, an average uterus in an adult measures around 8 centimeters long, 5 centimeters wide, and 4 centimeters thickness. So it is 8 centimeters long, 5 centimeters wide, and approximately 4 centimeters in thickness, right? And this uterus has got, like different parts. So the part what you're seeing here in the top as a dome shaped structure is called as the fundus of the uterus. And just below the fundus of the uterus, you are seeing nice body of the uterus here. And now just below the body of the uterus here, you can see a nice constriction where I am holding. This constriction is called as the isthmus of the uterus. And below the isthmus is the cervix. You can see the internal os of the cervix. This is the internal os. Cervix is opening, right? It is opened. This opening of the lower part of the cervix is called as the internal os, right? Now, coming to the other visible parts. Apart from this central region, in the peripheries, you are seeing nice structure. See, I can hold this small tube, right? This is called as the fallopian tube. The fallopian tube in an adult female measures approximately 10 to 12 centimeters long, and it has got different parts. The part which I am lifting like this with my over my finger, this part is nothing but called as the fimbriae of the fallopian tube, fimbriae. And just medial to the fimbriae is the infundibulum. Medial to the infundibulum is the ampulla, and medial to the ampulla is the isthmus, and the medial most part is the intramural part of the fallopian tube, right? And now, the other structures which you can see adjacent to the uterus are, you can see a nice white color structures called as the ovaries. Here one and here one. These are two ovaries. Now, other visible structures in this uterus. See, you are seeing a nice, paper-like, a curtain-like structure which is extending from the sides of the uterus, which is nothing but called as the broad ligament. So in this specimen, I can see only two ligaments. One is here, nice one called as the round ligament of the uterus, which is like a thread or a rope, right? This is called as the round ligament of the uterus, which passes through the inguinal canal. And this broad curtain is nothing but called as the broad ligament. The concept of the broad ligament is like the broad ligament of the uterus. It will start from the adjacent sides of the uterus, this broad ligament, and it goes towards the lateral pelvic wall and also the floor of the pelvis. Means it is just tightly pulling the uterus on either sides where the uterus is staying in its exact position, identical position. So that is the function of the broad ligament. So the broad ligament extends from the sides of the uterus towards the lateral pelvic wall and also attaches and then goes to the floor of the pelvis. So this broad ligament not only suspends only uterus, but also it suspends along with uterus, it also suspends the fallopian tubes and the ovaries. So as this one single ligament is hanging so many structures, different parts of the broad ligament are called with different names. Now I am just going to show you the first one. The part of the broad ligament, this is the fallopian tube what I am holding, and I am just pulling the fallopian tube up. This part of the broad ligament which is extending between the fallopian tube and the body, right? This part of the broad ligament which is attached to the fallopian tube is called as the mesosalpinx. See, this is the fimbriae, right? I am just pulling the fimbriae. If I am pulling the fimbriae, again you can see a nice attachment to the ovary. So this attachment of the broad ligament to the ovary is called as mesoovarium, right? And now the rest of the broad ligament, if you see, the rest of the broad ligament is nicely suspending. That is starting from the fundus, body and the isthmus, and it is going towards the lateral pelvic wall. This is called, this itself, as it is hanging the whole of the uterus, this is called as mesometrium. This is all about the visible parts of the uterus, right? Clear?